Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the final Board of Selectmen's meeting for the town of Effingham, December 28th, 2021. Before we get started, we just have a little bit more to deal with on the mail and manifest, so please bear with us. All right, if you join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome. On this morning. All right, let's see. Selectmen's minutes of December 2021. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Selectmen's minutes for December 2021. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Non-public minutes from December 21. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
And there were 4 action items for personnel. The police department is removing a few people that are no longer able to support us in the part-time position area, and we're adding 1 additional person part-time who also will be able to act as our prosecutor in the county court. There's a letter in there for the forest fire warden appointment to the fire chief. So just as a reference, we agreed last spring to allow Mr. Thompson, Richard Thompson, to continue being the fire warden for an additional year out of a 3-year term. He agreed to that so he could get his 50 years in, which made sense. He has submitted his letter of resignation as of December 31, 2021, and that appointment will now revert back to the fire department and the fire chief, where it is for most other departments.
Can I do a clarification on that? Because I reached out to the state and that's why you have 2
Yep.
things to sign. And it is like the health officer is state appointed. So once you sign that form, they'll call and talk to Randy
Yep.
and go forward with that.
Yep. Good. Alrighty. The other thing we have in here this morning is appointment forms. At the last annual town meeting in May, we agreed to have 2 people from the town participate in the Carroll County Broadband Organization Committee. Diane Jarecki and myself will be those 2 people, and those forms will be signed and attested shortly, and then forwarded up to the person running the current program up in Albany for the Carroll County Broadband. The Avatar preliminary DRA assessment to sales ratio came out. That information we forwarded over to DRA, so DRA can set the final number on that. And we have the approved document for the transfer station ordinance, which needed to have signatures, which we did. And I'll make a motion to approve the December 30, 2021 manifest in the amount of $38,877.26.
No, second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
All right, reviewing the mail. We have a Christmas present. The Governor Wentworth Regional School District finalized the town assessment for fiscal year 2022. Our rate went down a little over 200 grand.
Oh, how much?
A little over 200,000.
Oh, wow.
So for the year, basically, it went down. So that's good news for us. All right, and the town administrator comments.
Okay, I've had a lot of interface with citizens this week, which has been good. I've met a lot of new people, maybe because they're coming in and paying the tax bill, which is terrific. Deanna ran a report, and for the whole year, the town has collected 85% of the taxes. There's still 15% outstanding. And I'm working on the snow shoveling cleanup agreement for that job description and setting up some appointments. I met with Rebecca and David last week to talk about how their process is working together. Rebecca's out this week on vacation. And I'm also covering general assistance this week while Leslie's on vacation. So I'm wearing multiple hats, getting it done.
Good. Anything else?
I don't think so. On the Avatar, the Preliminary DRA assessment came in significantly less than 90%. DRA will probably make the recommendation to have a correction to the assessments in town. I've asked David to get a quote from Avatar to do that, so you can prepare for it in next year's budget if necessary.
So the percentage is actually 74% on the preliminary, and it's supposed to be 90 or above. So that information we forwarded over to DRA. DRA will be the one to make the final decision on the final percentage. So Avatars, our assessors, have come up with a preliminary number. It'll now be certified by DRA, and we'll see what's there. When the number goes down significantly, it requires a revaluation. So welcome to post-COVID and all the property changes and prices of real estate nowadays.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Did we get any information back from the trustees on the 3 trust funds we checking into to maybe close out?
We did. I didn't print it out. I can print it if you want to hang out after this meeting. I'll give it to you.
Okay,
Okay.
that was the cemetery and
Yes.
I forget the other thing, but, okay. Just so that we have the actual wording as to what we can do and what we can't do.
Thanks for that reminder.
And you haven't got to the cash register yet at the transfer station, huh?
No, actually, I totally forgot about
Oh,
that. Transfer. I
okay.
will make a note for that one.
I told Mark and told the thing gets corrected, just charge the old rate.
Yep.
That's all I got for right now. Keep it kind of simple.
Okay.
She's busy.
Did the garage door come into the transfer station yet?
Supposed to be done the 30th.
Yeah, Kevin had said last week it would be any day, so I was
Yeah.
curious.
Well, he was gonna put it on last week, but then due to COVID and lack of manpower, it's texted me and said it's gonna be done the 30th. So we'll see.
Do you want to cover the concrete?
Oh, yeah, we did get one price on the concrete that was in the mail. We didn't, I never heard that from Thompson and Gray. Talked to his wife twice, left him voicemail and his phone, and then Audrey emailed him, so. We did get one price from East Coast for 2 8-inch thick pads, 4,000 pound concrete. They're gonna be 10 foot by 24 foot with wire mesh, 2 of them for $49.75, $4,975.
Do we think they can do that this spring?
Yeah, I'm sure they can be get it on the agenda on the schedule.
You want to make a motion to approve that right now? You want
Yeah.
that till spring?
No, I'll make a motion to approve it, and then they can be banking on it all winter.
Okay, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Full eye.
Aye.
I'll second.
Did East Coast send anything in the mail or just the email?
Just the email. I'll reply to them and let them know you approved it.
Yeah,
Get it
okay,
on the schedule.
okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it for now.
Okay, first item, I corresponded last week with Brian Dugan, the gentleman that we've hired from Municipal Resources, Inc. He's the Fire Services Director over there, or Director of Fire Services, in a hiring process for the replacing our fire chief. And I reviewed with him processes and procedures and showed him some materials. And he wrote me back basically proposing a 3-person review board, and here's why this is important. I'm gonna read the email he gave me. I've reviewed the Article 5 from the 2010 Effingham Town Meeting, RSA 154:1 sub B. Under this article, the selectmen would need to formally appoint a fire chief review board. I propose the following personnel be appointed to the review board. Keep in mind, when we did the contract, we had two choices. One, where we would have Brian be the sole reviewer and make a recommendation to us. For a higher figure of another couple grand, they provide a 3-person review board. Brian has convinced 2 additional retired fire chiefs on their own time, not getting compensated, to be on the review board. So the board would consist of 3 people. The first would be Brian Dugan from Effingham. He is the Director of Fire Services for Municipal Resources, Inc. The second person will be David Houghton from Moultonborough. He's the retired Fire Chief Director of Massachusetts Special Operations and a fire instructor. He's also served as the interim chief in Littleton and is currently on-call firefighter EMT with the Moultonborough Fire Rescue. And the third person was David McLean from Limerick, Maine. He's a retired fire captain, chair of the Limerick Fire Chief Search Committee, he's currently for science faculty within the Maine Community College system. As the option, the contract does not provide for a 3-person team. Mr. Houghton and Ms. McLean have agreed to volunteer their time to assist the town of Effingham. We will provide a thank you letter to them at the conclusion of the process. Once appointed, the review board will conduct interviews with the qualified candidates and recommend the top 3 candidates in a prioritized order to the Board of Selectmen. Any questions?
None whatsoever.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint the suggested fire chief review board of Brian Dugan, David Houghton, and David McLean.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Good. And we actually have a call tomorrow with Brian regarding the process. That is a 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember off the top of my head all the dates.
Yeah.
We've been throwing 10, it is 10. 10 tomorrow morning. It'll be a phone call with him. There'll be 2 parts to that. The first will be a public work session where he's going to outline, so we can capture it on tape for the community that views the video out there, of what the process will be and how it will work. We'll then go into a non-public session and we will discuss the candidates they're not recommending and the reasons why they're not recommending them, which in many cases could be from a reputational standpoint. That's why it becomes a non-public meeting. Okay. We also are looking to schedule a work session for Friday. We don't know whether it's going to be at 10 or 1. We're trying to work out with HEB right now. HEB Engineers has asked for a call with us to talk about the creation and development of the project manual for Bailey Road Bridge. So what happens in the formal process here is the manual is designed and developed, and it's the entire process of what occurs from the engineering right through the final construction. There'll be some questions they have for clarification. So we will hopefully be able to answer those while we're doing that. The other thing I want to do, Audrey, is in the draft warrant articles that you come up with, in that employee pension one for town employees, I want to change that to approving our application into group 1 with the New Hampshire retirement system for town employees, rather than a specific dollar amount.
Okay.
Because the current percentage puts us over about 30 or 40 bucks over what's actually in there right now as a suggested word. And we'll work on that, Mr. Budget Chair, with you.
Work session?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share it with you as soon as we're done. I mean, it needs to be changed from a standpoint of the language of it, to make sure we appropriately get it. Because we took on the fire department, police department group 2 back in the 2010, 2012 era. And I went back and reviewed every one of the town meeting minutes, and I could not find good language. that would allow us to be able to just kind of update language to group one. So we'll design something brand new and we'll run it by you after. Run it by.
You're planning to do a special work session or after this?
We can, you want to talk about the warrant article stuff today?
We'll do it after
Yep,
the
we
work
can do it.
session.
Yep, we can do it following this meeting. We can dive into it and go through a few of those.
Yep.
Take a look at them, because there's a few we need to create that aren't in the draft version, and we know that.
Yeah, like the trust funds.
Okay. The other thing, last week we talked about health officer access to the property card records. You wanted a week to work on a plan for getting that access. What did you come up with, Andre?
I talked to our assessor or our assessing technician, and I talked to several towns. The files are considered the assessor's files. It's highly unusual to have other people allowed into them. One town had the building inspector, which would be similar to CEO. And those were the only people allowed in the files. And everyone is mostly concerned about process, any files leaving, information in there that maybe shouldn't be.
So what's the difference there with what the CEO does today? Because the CEO is reviewing the same kind of files that he is for the health officer. So what's different about the health officer process that would basically mean we can't offer the same as CEO? I'm not convinced at this point. So
Right.
you need to convince me a little bit more.
There's just concern about the files and people doing multiple things. So I guess there would be a comfort feeling if we knew the process for the health officer. So for example, there's one resident in town that has received a letter from the zoning enforcement officer stating that they're in violation and there's fees that are gonna start generating on the property. That same resident has also put in for general assistance, and just knowing what would, of course, the health officer comes through the file, and then what would the process be for that citizen to, does it come to the board and the board says, okay, we have these three things going on. And so that, I guess they're really looking for a team approach when dealing with these properties. So
Okay.
I think that's the concern, and maybe if we bring in David and Rebecca.
At this point, I'm looking at positions. I'm keeping personalities and people out of it.
Right.
The need for access to do the job is to have access at 24/7 for the property card record. Rebecca's got that today. She can come in at any point in time throughout a 24-hour period, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to view those records. David, because of his position, has that same capability. I want to know the factual reasons why that should not occur for the health officer position, because there is a need for those same kind of review of records. Rebecca could walk out with records. I mean, I don't understand the concern with this particular item versus the way we do it on a normal basis.
And yeah, and any records, it's totally up to you in the long run, but in any files, limited access is better. So for example, the treasurer and the auditors don't go into any of the files in my office. Darlene or I get them. So it's just a matter of how many people you want to let into the records.
So just using that example to let the public know, there is no way to access the selectman's office or the tax collector's office outside of normal business hours. Selectmen can't do it. The only people that are authorized are the employees within that office to access that beyond hours. The records we're talking about are not inside that particular storage area. So they would be
The
accepted.
argument assessing and zoning made also is that anything they're aware of is also available online. The septic is all available on
It's not
the
available online.
state website.
It's not. It's already been checked on. So this is one of the reasons we need to have access to do this. If we're not gonna allow it for the health officer, for the reasons you just said, I'm also gonna recommend we restrict the zoning officer for the same reasons. And I don't think either one of them can do their job with that kind of restriction. Lenny?
I really don't see the necessity of having 24-hour access.
For either one of them.
Right. Yeah.
I don't.
You know,
CEO, I don't.
well, they have a key, they can get access, but I don't think either one of them will come in the middle of the night. They're gonna go in there and access it on their regular hours.
Which with the health officer, there are no regular hours, so.
Yeah, but I don't see the health officer needing something in the middle of the night, where it couldn't happen during the course of the day, business hours.
So he's working during the day, he needs to access the stuff after hours or the weekend. Something comes up on the weekend and we need to access the record because of some complaint that comes up.
I mean, call one of the selectmen or something, to get access to the. I just don't see them.
And I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna
And
remove
like-
Rebecca's access,
You know,
doing
like
the same thing.
Audrey has said, more people you allow access to,
Right.
more things can happen.
And I'm good. So my recommendation is we remove Rebecca's access to the building in the off hours. To be the same as that health officer.
I'll request that she change her office hours to something that matches that the public's needs.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Think the next thing we have is looking at the encumbrances for next year. So there was some work that's been done to basically encumber funds that were not used this year for warrant articles that were passed for different things and for bills that basically have come in that are not gonna get paid till after the first of the year. So first, you have this one?
No, I'm trying to find it. It's in this file, I believe.
Yeah. it is. Should be put together for a while. There you go.
The first item is road reconstruction. Article, the 2021 warrant article number 19. We'll be looking to encumber $159,000, which will include the HEB remaining contract value in the amount of $44,460. In the Bailey Road Bridge, 2021 warrant article number 18, $10,000 of that warrant article will be encumbered. Number 3, Avatar is a 5-year contract, will encumber $24,118. The Avatar contract we have is a 5-year contract. The 5th year when the town revals are done is typically a big cost year. So the board a few years ago decided to basically level the number, because we know what the total contract price is gonna be, level the number over the 5 years, which means we gotta carry forward what we've been saving in excess of the annual number. Till we get to that 5th year, and then hopefully we have everything we need to pay the bill without raising additional taxes. Emergency outfitter, fire department, new equipment, basically been ordered, $1,598. Admiral uniform and supplies for police is a $1,150. And the library for furniture and a new shed encumber $9,792.12. So the total encumbered number for 2021 from the budget would be $205,658.12.
Chuck, make a point of order.
You can.
May I suggest to the board, or if you haven't already, on the encumbrance to the library, I've gone back and checked the RSAs. There's nothing about encumbrances for the library except for unused town funds must be returned at the end of the year. So I don't know if you've, just to make sure it's legal, if you've gone to the town attorney, because everything in the RSA's I can find, they have to turn the funds back. We've never, in my whole time here, ever done this. All those funds by the RSA at the
And
end.
we haven't been in this position before either from
Yeah.
from a funding
Well, I
standpoint.
mean,
No,
we
I
were the
totally
last,
agree.
the last 2 years we were, and we never did.
Okay,
So, but if you read the RSA, I just don't want to get into a legal skirmish, so I
Yep.
suggest that the board just double check that, because the RSA does say the funds at the end of the fiscal year must be returned to the town. It's nothing about actually allowing you to encumber it.
so,
There wouldn't be a need to encumber if they would get the money back and have to budget appropriately.
if, with what David's describing, because the library RSA's are interact with the town RSA's. Anything that's lapsing funds of a certain category have to be returned to the town at the end of whatever they've got left over at the end of the year.
General fund.
So,
Oh, the library turns into. town.
Library, whatever they transfer back, what they haven't used in the town supply funds, which has happened before.
Mhm.
And then it goes into the general fund. That's a normal process by the RSA's. So this is just different. And I'm just asking.
No,
the
no,
board
so-
to
so the
make
warrant
sure there's
article-
Trip, that's all.
the warrant article we drafted to basically say, raise and appropriate 9,700 to the library. How do we reflect the fact that it wouldn't raise taxes?
We
Coming
normally,
from the lapsing
normally
funds?
by the RSA, we would get those funds back into. the
I know we would, I know we would.
It wouldn't be reappropriated to the library. That's what the intent of the RSA is, and always has been. At least since I've been here. If you didn't use the funds for what was intended, it comes back to the town.
If
You
they,
have your new budget, you submit your new budget for 2022.
they underneath library law, the only thing we as selectmen can do is determine the bottom line number, not the individual line items. They can spend their money any way they want to.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we're talking about, is the bottom line number coming back.
These are county funds, these aren't grants or anything.
No, the grants are different.
I'm just asking you, check with the town attorney.
No, I
Because
agree.
it may be okay, Chuck.
I agree with what
idea.
you're saying, Dave. I agree with that.
I have no idea.
Audrey, will you have a chance to do that today or tomorrow?
Yes.
We just need to know the process for being able to do that, and if it is not allowable, what would be the recommendation they would have to try and satisfy the request?
Okay.
Excuse me, Chuck, are you trying to encumber the funds or just get supply the funds to them?
Well, we would try and do the encumbering, but if Dave's right, we can't encumber them.
Well, you can't carry them over, but if they're encumbered to a purchase, you can. If the library is committed the funds.
They have signed contracts and,
Oh, well, they've got a signed contract.
oh, yeah,
Then you can,
okay,
that's encumbered,
okay,
carrying them over is different.
okay.
Or-
No,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
got
that's
signed
fine.
contracts, Dave.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they have signed contracts, yeah, you're right, Mike, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Carry over and encumbered.
Thank you for that feedback. I'll make a motion to approve 205, 658.12 for encumbrance. Second, all in favor for that? And that's the supporting documentation behind there too. And the next item on the new business is the warrant articles. We're gonna, at the conclusion of the meeting, we're going to a work session. We'll just continue the meeting, but it'll be a work session. We're gonna review the current draft warrant articles as we begin to determine what we're gonna have for the town meeting. And let's see. Department committee updates. Mr. Kahalan, Health Officer. What do you have, sir?
Oh, I didn't actually come in prepared to answer anything, but I would say you covered some sensitive area for me is access. I've been trying to get property card files that have not been returned for quite some time. And access to them is probably going to be, for me, most convenient after normal business. During the course of the business day, I'm likely not to be here, so that was the point of having access. Those files also are such that on requests go to any land use board, so if you had a planning board or anything else, ZBA, those are normally requested. Health officer also has HIPAA issues, so anything that would have been discovered that might be, which is news to me, that anybody has any general assistance information in their property taxes news. But other than that, I went around following up on some properties that were brought to my attention as a complaints. And typically what I found was if there was an issue on property X, in close proximity, there was another similar to property, and so it expanded the list of concerns beyond a dozen. I haven't gotten information back from the assessor or the zoning officer in regards to following up on the original issues revolving around septic systems and RVs or trailers. So kind of in a holding pattern on that. I do have a discussion with town's attorney, so that's going to be pending some email response from him in regards to permits being issued, these items, things going on properties that are in conflict with the ordinance for the health ordinance, and just how that all plays out. Is the ordinance written in such a way that it's acceptable to say the interpretation as I see it, if that's accurate. So our attorney will be getting back to us on that before any actions are taken.
So did I hear you correctly that there are property tax records that you were looking for that are not currently in the file?
Yeah, there's one specifically that's been the center of numerous complaints that's been out for a couple of weeks that I can't access.
Do we know
because
where it
that's
is?
out of the building.
Out of the building?
Right, and my request was to just see the property card so I could verify things. You can't get everything off the online stuff. There's a history on those cards. That's why you recommend them in land use cases, because it's not the current owner, the current day, or the limited amount of information that's on the property. So properties go back on, many years. You're not gonna have 22 years worth of zoning things on there, so. But yeah, there's cards I can't access.
I did find out that when there's an active case with the CEO, she has them in a black cabinet out there.
If it's a case
Yeah.
where we're gonna restrict access, then everything's gonna stay in this building.
Correct.
And I don't mind if we do
But
another
they
small,
didn't leave the
okay,
facility, basically. Rebecca does not have them with her, and I have access to her cabinet now, so.
but that
But
needs
it'll
to,
come back here.
okay, thank you. Okay. All right, from that standpoint, anything else in old business? Or?
No, just skipped over number 6.
Oh, yes, I did. See, the announcements I have a problem with. So, and the transfer station is going to be closed Saturday, July 1st, 2021. It'll be open on Sunday.
Try that again.
Said
July.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, it was a J. I had part of it. Transfer station closed Saturday, January 1st, 2021.
Actually 22, I typed it
I want to say 2020.
22. All right. Transfer station is closed Saturday, January 1st, 2022. Okay. I think
Good
I got
job.
it. I think I got it.
wrong.
All right. All right, thank you. Okay, public comment. Mr. Garcelle.
I got a couple actually, questions concerning the dumpster pads. What is the plan for the future? I'm hearing things like we're gonna have to pay by the pound for trash and stuff. Are we
Not
thinking
until
about-
you get a scale, and the scale is a long ways off.
Okay, but are we planning to put roofs and things on over these dumpsters to
There
stop
is-
all the snow and
There
water?
is no plan on paper. There's all kinds of discussions that have taken place. It would make sense to cover the dumpsters because we pay by the pound. And when they're loaded with ice and snow and everything else, we're paying for that when they're on wet.
Well, the reason I asked was because if we're pouring pads, are the pads gonna be considered footings or foundation for the structure above, or should we be thinking a little bit longer term with these pads, i.e. putting in a foundation along with them?
Are you familiar with where the pads would be going right now?
I'm assuming under those two big long dumpsters.
The
on the
bottle
edge.
bin, which is behind the half pickup truck bed that's off there,
Mhm.
that whole wall needs to be torn out and rebuilt and properly stacked. When they built it, they didn't properly stack the cement barriers and they're caving in. I mean, it's settling over time and just caving in, which is causing a problem at the bottle bin. The other one is the scrap metal bin. So today, both of those bins are in a location and I'm not sure where we would be changing them to another location, even if we could. But the issue we have is at this point, because the waste management comes in and lowers their bed of their truck and then picks up those tanks, what's happening is they're digging huge holes on the back side of those things. We need to basically get pads in there so that we can actually have them stationary without settling into the ground and digging up.
So basically, so you're pretty much saying that it's too early to think about foundations and that type of thing because you don't know where they're gonna be.
It's never too early. The question is gonna be about how long do you think it'll take? And we have a very immediate need right now because of the way the dumpsters are setting angled in the air because of the holes they're setting in. So,
Okay, and then I have a few questions about the limiting access to these records for health officers. It seems to me that limiting the access, even for even the zoning, to get into this place and look it up after hours is less efficient than allowing the access. I mean, we need these records.
well, I agree with that,
So,
but
it
you're not,
seems to make a,
we're not gonna get the full access that's needed. So as long as everybody is treated the same, no access outside hours.
well, I think the job's gonna be done better with that access.
I would
But
agree.
the other point I wanted to make is the state has already got rules to restrict what health officers especially, I think, can divulge and so basically what I'm saying is that there are already the rules. I don't think there's a reason to restrict further.
You don't have to convince me, but I'm one of two votes.
Okay, and I just wanted to mention that the health officers seem to be vetted more than any other department in town by the state, who's actually people that put us into our position. So anyway, that's a point that I think could be used to justify allowing the department to go in and do that.
So here we are today. We're restricting access to the health officer and the zoning officer to only business hours that the building is open. There is nothing to say at a later time that that entire decision cannot be revisited and access provided. But based on today's discussion, I do not see it. Am I good with that statement?
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. And then I also wanted to basically mention that files were not available because they weren't where they were supposed to be. And
Audrey just said she was gonna look into that to make sure that all the property files are in the property area. In the filing area.
done.
Thank you. Mr. Beagle?
Just because I'm not quite sure of the process you have for the property card. How do they go walkabout? Is there a sign out log for someone that says, I'm taking these 2 property cards and they're checked out to me? Or do they just, because they're not there, someone assumes they're somewhere else?
I assume Audrey, based on this discussion, has already noted that that will be all looked into.
There's a sign out.
When I started here, I started an in-out sheet, so it says who has the file. So if Mike had come to me, I could have gone over and gotten the file. I wasn't aware until at our last meeting that he didn't have a file that he needed. And it says who's taking it out. So if it's on Rebecca's desk because she's working on an active project, then she doesn't
So
know.
all property cards, due to the fact that you have an in and out log for them, are accounted for
Yes,
at all times.
yes.
Is there a law that says that a property card can't be copied on the machine?
Not that I'm aware of, because many towns or some towns keep 2 copies, one for the public or for the building inspector or health officer. And then their originals don't have any access. It's only the assessor.
I would think, to my mind, that if someone needs to work on property cards, they should make copies and do it on the in and out log saying that they have copies, but the original should always stay in the file. Having those move all around, people working on them, so to speak, then you have to go hunt them down if you need them for something else. That's very inefficient. And I don't think that's very good for oversight of these records. So I believe that they should be allowed to be copied, but at the same time, there should be notice made that they are copied by whoever is working on them. But the original should stay in that file. They should never leave. That's my 2 cents on this.
That's an interesting thought. We can
Yeah.
definitely take a look at that one. Vicky?
I'm just saying that that's just opening up and having more copies and more copies out.
But today people could do a 91A and then get a full printout of everything that's in that file. So it's public information. So it's not, none of it's restricted. We're just saying because it's the original documents, we don't want them to leave the building.
I understand that, but what I'm getting at is, say, so-and-so comes and gets a copy, and so-and-so gets a copy. And then so-and-so leaves one in his car, okay? Or another person has one at home. Someone enters home, reads the card, whatever. I wouldn't want my property card, even a copy in someone else's house or left in a car, or even if it is public knowledge. It's just out there.
I'm hearing you.
Are the 3 of you and the zoning officer, or maybe the assistant zoning officer, available 24/7? I mean, if Dave and Mike have an emergency in the middle of the night, you guys gonna get up and let them in there to look at the property card?
Well, first off, the property got to be in this building.
I mean, how often does
Right
that
behind you.
happen?
It could.
It
What-
could happen.
I mean,
I
there's
don't
lots
know.
of nuts in this town.
That would be the only solution. You have to call the selectman to come down at whatever the hour is.
You don't have a key to that. Property file.
That's right. That's locked. That's one area we don't have access to.
So nobody has the key but her?
the Audrey will be the only one that's got a key,
So
Yeah,
Audrey
and there,
would be
so
getting up.
the
in
selectman's
middle of the
office?
night.
the assessor's office,
Indiana.
and Deanna will be the only ones that have a key, nobody else.
I'm curious kind of what you envision would be requiring.
Well,
because
you
if
know,
it was
there's
a-
some
let me
crazy
finish, let me
emergency.
finish. So if it was someone's septic pouring onto the ground, if it was someone's child being unclean, why do they need to see the property card? They need to go and do a health
Exactly.
inspection.
But they need to know about the property and
What do they need to know about it?
Is it a valid septic system?
what about the
Is it a valid
septic system?
installation?
Prior to them going and inspecting it?
Yes,
Oh my God.
absolutely.
I would definitely want to know that information.
They need to know where that septic system is supposed to be on the property. It's in that card. It's not on the cards that are in here.
I don't know why that
It's
would be
not
an
in the cards
overnight
that are public.
emergency, so.
No, and you
That's
know,
okay. And the current decision today is Audrey, Deanna, the assessor will be the only ones that have a key to that door. So Rebecca will be turning her key in. She's not gonna have access off hours. No, and we're gonna.
and they're gonna be on call, so these guys need to have.
We're on call anyway.
Exactly.
We're on call 24/7 anyway.
I don't know, I think it's wrong.
It's not an efficient way to run a business, but it is the way we're gonna run it.
Yeah,
Mr. Cahaly.
Yeah, Chuck, I don't really envision the emergencies that or things that people are putting out. It's basically a research on properties and accessibility in a reasonable time frame during the course of the week or the weekend, what have you. Office hours are somewhat restricted, but if you really wanted to have a concerns answered that I don't think existed, were put forward earlier, the town's attorney might advise you guys on this. You're not accessing sensitive information, and we're not looking to remove the files at all from this building or make copies. It's just to do research, to get some background, and to proceed. If we needed to make a copy because some information that would be sent out in a violation notice, it would tie into things to deal with our attorney. So maybe in the pursuit of Rebecca and David and the health officer doing the job that you're putting them in place to do, maybe getting another opinion from council might be helpful. Somebody who could settle it all, who's not a lay person. Moving on from that, I do have some concerns with the pads and so forth, as Dave was touching on. Originally, the oil containment was built with a floor to it, because eventually that top was going to come off as part of an ongoing grant. That grant that we put out was initially a 3-year kind of thing. It's revolving, you can go back every year and update it. But the shed that's up there, the little white one, is rotting out, was going to go away. The wall where the metal was, the original plan was to move that wall out about 5 or 6 feet to give more workable space up above, get it away from a wall that the truck drivers bash into with their mirrors that is on the other side of the oil containment. And it's a staggering line that is what you do in all these transfer stations. You tightly stagger them in like a Z effect. And that's what you're gonna do, the plan was. And you're gonna put in frost walls and stem walls because your roofing system is gonna tie in so that you wouldn't be capturing the water weight in glass or in anything else. The metal's really not that big of a deal outside of snowfall. But it was going to go down over the other things, or the other 2 demos where you get cloth, mattresses, rugs, whatever, that capture water. When I did the contract a few years ago, I got a reduction in cost overall in that 5-year contract. But when that comes around again, that's not going to happen. You're going to see your rates go up. And back in 2018, about 2/3 of the materials that come into landfills was coming into the state of New Hampshire from Massachusetts. A lot of the landfills in Massachusetts have since closed, or different things like Bellingham used to take glass. That's all closed. So more and more, you're getting a very finite area in the state of New Hampshire that is going to come to an end. And at that point, long term planning, long range planning is what you're gonna probably be looking at, because you may end up running things down to rail and having that sent out, possibly out west, where you got some giant chunk of desert. God only knows what the solution is. But New Hampshire is filling up. So whatever you do, you want to have an eye on long term, because shipping costs for this material and overall cost of this material is going to go up exponentially, you can imagine, in the near, not so distant future. So that was a concern there. And as you close out your budget for this year, I'd just like to touch on a few things in the budget actual I grabbed last week. Snow Road Bridge, which cost, correction to you the other week, Chuck, $233,338.40. That's the cost of the taxpayer in the town of Effingham. But there's your budget versus actual isn't reflecting all costs, and you're showing somewhere around $20,400 more money than you have. It should have come off the price there. And also, not that it's a big deal, but you've got Snow Road grant showing there as money coming in but not being spent. That typically zeroes out. And I know I mentioned to you the town hall moose plate grant for $5,000 was in there, and it's looking like it's coming out of our budget, which it shouldn't be. Maybe you've got that one corrected. And those were pretty much the items, I believe, that were of concern, just cleaning up your sheet. I think you had a charge there on Bailey Road that could have gone under materials. I'm guessing that was the culvert, so that was a purchase separate than the contractor cost. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Regal.
I just want to continue those property cards. If they're on Rebecca's desk, they're not in here, are they?
What we just talked about, Steve, Audrey knows there's some files out there. She
Okay,
took it to do, I heard her say it. She's gonna get the files and get them back into this building. So we should, within a very short period of time, have all the files in this building.
She returned all of them before she went on vacation last week. I had everything brought in here.
I checked with David this morning. Maybe he hasn't gone through them yet, because he's the one who told me they were there this morning.
We'll check it again.
Yeah, so the process is that Rebecca doesn't put anything back in there. Those are the assessor's files. She gives everything to David. David puts them back. So we don't have people misfiling or putting things incorrectly.
Which makes total
David's
sense.
the only one who puts things back.
Well said.
Also seems to make sense to not take them out in the first place, so that there isn't an issue like
We
we're
just
having.
covered that.
Often
Got it.
landowners will come in and sit with David and look at them. One of the things like we wouldn't want a new landowner maybe to look at is in the past for an abatement, the assessing clerk was getting copies of people's, is it called PD 254s when they leave the military? 14. Okay, thanks. I'm bad at numbers. So they were keeping copies of personal information in there. And so as David's working on them, because there's several, he takes those things out and shreds them because they should not be in the property record cards. So before he has a citizen come in and look at them, because I think realtors used to come in and, anyone can come in and look at them, they're public, but he sits with them while they're doing it and looks at them beforehand. So that's just part of our process and getting them in shape.
Good. Any other questions from the public? Mr. Edwards.
I think you open up the can of worms when you people go in there off hours. Because when they're in there by themselves, they look at anything, and they not just go in there and look at a property card. They can look at anything, they can look at personnel file, they look at anything that often.
No, you can't. Personnel files are not in the property area.
Yeah, they are.
They
They're in
are.
that closet.
Why are they in there? They should be behind locking.
It's the archives, it's the old ones, people who we don't have space to maintain all those records. records, all the old audited documents. There are a lot of files.
We need to talk about that.
You get that fixed with the load, Joe.
We need to talk about that. They shouldn't be in the same place. Okay, that's it to do.
I wasn't done, Chuck.
No, you keep going. Let me write down, because you're bringing up some good stuff.
So
Good, go ahead.
the health officers, they can't do their job when that town office is open, then maybe they shouldn't be in that position. Now, you've got a thing in here that says public speaking instructions. Where do I find them?
We actually have a copy of those. I don't have them with me today. Audrey's got a copy of them. We can actually get those. And basically what it does, it's an entire page that I could read every meeting that basically says, when you have your chance to speak, you've got up to 5 minutes to ask a question or make a statement. And there's no discussion by the board on anything that's said by the public in the meeting. That's in a nutshell, that's what it says. I don't want to restrict that if we don't have to. If we can remain civil and we can get stuff happen, I'd rather have feedback from everybody and do it on a regular basis and have a discussion. But the instructions are basically there that if things get out of hand, and shut it off. Done. For that meeting. Did that, you okay with that? Okay. Good. Anything else? Good. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, recess, and then we're gonna talk about draft warrant articles in a continuing work session. Thank you very much for your time. This one.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so April 1.
All right, so shall the town vote to establish part-time? Effective, okay.
Like your 401 for an estimated cost of 25 grand.
25,000.
That's the target right now.
Now, this where it says this sum is to be offset by at 16.4, right?
16.4 from the daytime,
From the daytime firefighter salary.
okay.
And then 8,600 would come from taxation, Audrey.
86, not 95.
Yeah, because 16.4 and 86 is a 25, right? My math's right, isn't it?
I think it is, but I'll grab a calculator just to make sure. No, do it that way. 8,600.
I don't know if you need to say something about the sum come offset by a reduction from the daytime firefighter salary in the operating budget. I don't know, do you need to say that?
Well, I think it would probably
Clean it from Michelle
clarify it.
Yeah, I think it would.
in the operating budget?
Yep.
Yep. I didn't know if you wanted to add that or not. That was,
Okay. And I intentionally didn't put numbers with these because I know you're gonna have zoning ones and.
oh, yeah, we'll just,
Yeah.
whenever we get the draft for our public hearing, we'll just number 1 through whatever and let everybody know. Here's a copy, but it's not gonna be the number, the real number.
Yeah, we could rearrange them prior to the draft.
It's, yeah, we'll get them as close as we can, but obviously, I'm not worried about it for our public hearing. You good on that one?
Yep.
I don't see anything with the town administrator's one. You good with that?
Yeah, no, I don't know with that one. I want to reword that one.
Yeah, so you want to change the name to employee 1 New Hampshire enrollment?
Yeah, group 1, New Hampshire retirement system. Shall the town vote to offer pension benefits to town employees,
Full-time town employee?
full-time town employees? Through group 1 New Hampshire retirement system And then here's a question I have, can we put,
We gotta put a dollar amount in it.
can we,
It's gotta be an estimated dollar amount.
yeah.
It's gotta be. And that's my estimation based on the
So
percentages,
take-
is about
take-
75.
Yeah, that might be the last time, it's like 75-33 or something.
Yeah, I mean, but just an estimated amount.
Okay. So how would we word that? So
Estimated
second
tax
line.
impact for 2022.
would be, will probably be estimated at $7,500.
Raise and appropriate the estimated sum of 75 for Group 1 New Hampshire Retirement System. How's that sound?
Yeah, but the question is, if it's 75-33, are we in trouble?
Estimated, the same
Okay.
estimate.
Estimate, okay, good. Okay, good with that. I was like looking for finite, and it's like estimated cover.
I mean, if we said 25,000 for a new truck, they can't spend 25,300.
Right.
Because we said 25 for the truck. I believe the estimate, I don't think Michelle will have a problem with that. I don't see where she will.
Hopefully she won't. It'll make it clearer for the public.
Did you get all that, Audrey?
Yes.
All right.
That
historic-
next one, the only thing I'd like to see on that chart, I'd like to see worst case, let's take the funds out of the unassigned fund balance. Because next year we're gonna have,
Well, do we want to add that language like we did?
yeah,
And I'm good with that. We just,
well, I mean, we can change it on 111 when we have our budget hearing, when we go back and review everything, and the reason being is because if we take 50,000 to taxation, that stays in our tax rate.
Yep.
If we're gonna be able to do this, let's do it on the unassigned fund balance, one-time hit.
Yep.
We know next year, we're gonna have 62,000 coming off the offset that we have for the electrical payment.
Yep.
Right, so we're gonna have some there if we need to do it, so I just think worst case right now, let's just put it in the unassigned fund balance, let's see what we get in 111. And we can adjust if we need to.
Yep.
Prior to the public hearings.
so I read beyond the end of the damage period. If you take the last two lines of the last paragraph on that front page, this sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation. Special warrant article, majority vote required. That will give us the language, I hope, that will.
Yeah, I mean, all these will need,
Yeah, massage.
the budget end.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that. This is just the other stuff. You and I put enough of these in.
And the next one, the bridge, that looks good.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty, I assume the ARPA funds, that's where they're coming from, right?
Yeah, 150, we only got like 151 or 98 or something like that, so we said 150 all along.
So I put in the box culvert bridge.
Mark's Culvert Bridge.
That wording.
No, take the, no,
Okay,
with a bridge. I wouldn't,
yeah, okay.
don't put in box culvert.
Oh, with a
because
bridge, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just ended at Bailey Road Bridge.
I know HEB is likely to recommend a box, because it's cheaper than a three-sided culvert install, but we need to,
Yeah, get rid of the
So
culverts
Lenny,
to
you're
Providence.
saying you don't want me to put culverts either?
You can leave culvert, that's what's there.
Okay, all right.
Just
culverts replace,
ended at
Probably.
culverts.
yeah, with a box, with a bridge.
Yeah.
Replace the Bailey Road covers to Providence Lake with a
But he's
bridge.
saying it's not even bridge, right? You're just saying cut it off
Because
culverts.
It won't be a bridge if it's a culvert,
It could be a box culvert.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
you know, I just ended it.
No, that's good. Yep,
Culvert.
yep, that's good.
Oh, just into the culvert?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, replace it, yeah.
good. I got it.
The next two, my suggestion is we reverse those. We do the 1.1 first. If we're gonna be voting and we come down to the town.
Okay,
It's my suggestion, and the number I got, if you do that, so that means we'll do the 1.1 first. The sum of 400,000. I think we all agree that that number is a good number.
so the reason I did it in that way was because the first one's gonna be a larger number, the 2.4, so if that fails, then will they consider a smaller number? where if they vote for a smaller number, why would they then go to a larger number?
Yeah,
Just-
I like the position where it is right.
Okay, all right, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't look at it like that. That's fine.
So what were the numbers you came up with?
Okay,
today?
so if you do that, then the first one, I take Mike's number that he gave us of 625 was his estimated amount for 2.4 miles.
Some of what?
The sum of 625,000.
And you're going to make this more accurate after we get the bids?
Yes. We know the number's gonna be right, very close and that won't work.
Okay,
And to pave 2.4 miles of Green Mountain Road, the sum of 250s come from the operating budget and 150 from lapsing funds, right?
is that what?
Is
it
that
lapsing?
lapsing or carryover? That's carryover, isn't
I
it?
think we carried it over. I
Yeah.
believe.
That's actually carryover funds, right?
Yeah.
So you had that, right? Carryover funds and 225,000 from the unassigned fund balance.
Can you repeat that amount? 225?
Those should add up to the 625 if my math is right.
Yes, we do.
Agree with that?
And how about, did you have an estimate for the 1.1,
400,000.
400K? And so there would be nothing from the unassigned.
You know, yeah, and the only thing instead of carry, go be carryover funds.
Yeah,
Not from carryover
right,
funds.
yeah,
Yeah.
got it. So in the larger description, we would say carryover from 2018 warrant article. I mean,
Operating budget.
yeah, oh, it's all operating budget.
Yeah, 150 is in the operating budget.
So the encumbered funds aren't part of that, the ones that is encumbered?
We haven't got a contract on Green Mountain Road.
Can't encumber it without a contract.
Oh, that's right. it's Green Mountain. Sorry, I was thinking big. Okay,
Now, I didn't check these next articles. These are all the same ones we had put in last year, Audrey.
correct, until you get to the bottom. So are you still supporting all of these ETFs?
Yeah, you guys already voted on 16 and 15.
Yep.
To do the same as last year. I didn't go back and look at those between my sheets, see if you missed any, Audrey, but I assume you got them all in from the same ones.
All right, double check would be awesome.
Yeah, I will double check those.
Okay, then we had the two new nonprofits that had sent in.
Before you get to that, the emergency management generator replacement, we wouldn't have that.
Oh, didn't I get rid of that one?
Nope. So that's on page 1, 2, 3, I'd say.
But we would be funding it with 2,500, right? We established it last year.
Oh, yeah. I
We'd be
thought-
funding it,
We'd be
but
funding it, but not establishing.
not establishing, correct. So that would have to change to pretty much like the other ones.
All right, so
And this sum has come from
you're
the,
gonna fund it with the 2,500?
yeah, from the unassigned fund balance. You got those words in there, just that we're not
Yeah.
establishing.
Yeah,
And then the bottom one on that page, we're not gonna have either. Because
only the
now,
bottom one because I don't have pages on here.
because of, the Avatar one. Right,
That's top of the page.
yeah, because Avatar, we got it in now, we've done the contract, we got them in the budget. Right.
Okay.
You agree with that?
I wonder,
I wonder.
could be anywhere from, I think, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think David said it could be quite expensive for,
With that?
yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
valuation based on, DRA will probably come back and
That's gonna probably take a whole nother ball game anyway, because I mean, they may not do it, they may do it.
And if they do it,
They
we
may
don't have
require
to do
by
it
s-
within this calendar year, maybe it's a
They would-
2023.
Yeah, I would
They
imagine.
would
they
make
give
a
us time.
decision till next year, which would then probably allow us to raise the funds to do it the year round.
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna hit you in a budget year you didn't plan on it.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna give you time, I would assume, to go out with contracts or to find out from the lawyer whether or not you can break that contract, because now you need another complete assessment.
What are you saying, Dave?
Nothing, not a thing. Just saying what's available to the town.
All right, the next
Alright,
one
that's
probably said
coming out.
drainage Bailey Road culverts, so you scrap that one.
Yep, that one can go.
Which one?
Province Lake drainage / Bailey Road
Oh,
culverts
my goodness.
/
Well, next three can go.
road reconstruction and paving projects /
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding them.
that 250 is part of Green Mountain.
Okay, so I found your reconstruction, I found Bailey Road culverts, okay.
And then the 7,800 for the town hall, eliminate that entirely.
Mhm.
So you found backwards from generator, okay, where's the town hall?
Straight after, they're two together.
So Province Lake / Bailey, then road reconstruction and paving, and then town hall repair and rehabilitation ETF, 7,800. It's the first one of those two with that title.
Thanks, probably got them in a different order than what I printed.
There's one for 10,000 that'll stay in there, the other one,
Yeah.
7,800 could go.
Good.
Leaving the fire truck and.
Hmm?
You said to take out the road reconstruction,
Yes,
Yeah, because that money's being embedded in the
okay,
Green Mountain warrant article.
the last two, I'd say we get rid of.
the nonprofits,
Yeah, those Red Cross is already in our,
It's already in the nonprofits.
already in nonprofits.
oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay. Why did they send me another request?
Ooh,
Red Cross, I have a letter from them asking for $250.
did you pay them from last year's?
I think so, I'll
I
check that.
thought you had paid everything.
I mean, it looked like all the trust fund, all those nonprofits were paid in the budget to actual, but maybe we missed a check.
I'll double check that,
They
yeah,
may-
no, I think this might be just maybe a new person.
Yeah,
Fine.
Trying to get more
A
money.
new intern.
Yeah, it's that time of the year where, hey, we need money.
we did fund them in the but that's funded in the nonprofits.
Okay, it's already there.
Mhm.
And then the CASA one had come in and,
That's, they've been, they have been told they have to submit a warrant article.
that's what this is.
No, a petition warrant article.
Oh. I
Remember
didn't
that's
tell
the
them-
thing.
I didn't tell them petition.
We did in the emails correspondence back and forth, Darlene, me, and you were involved. I sent CC'd you on those.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we made the agreement that they have to do
First year.
past history, first year, they have to do petition. So they were notified.
Okay. I didn't have that written down at all.
Yeah, they were notified. If they wanted to do it, they'd have to submit a petition warrant article.
So if they don't do it this year, but then they come back to us next year, like we thought we were going to do that and that, we'll just have to make sure next year they're also very clearly reiterate what we tell them.
I thought we were pretty clear what we did.
You were. Yeah, you don't know who's managing turnover, whatever.
Yeah, it's-
We scrapping that one.
yeah, those
Yeah,
two
yeah,
would be
those last
scrapped.
two are.
Okay.
Well,
I pulled a warrant article, so I don't know what's that.
And, so that gives us more warrant, 150 Archer, 250 unassigned. HTH, 50K unassigned.
Oh, you're looking at 4901.
Yep.
See that?
That's
PD is 8,600.
Oh, you're putting it on for a sheet, okay.
PD? Fire, I'm sorry, fire chief. Oh, fire chief, 8600 Mountain 9. Yep. And then in the town admin, we'll just have the word estimated in.
Yeah, I'll fudge this up for when we get ready for our 1-4 meeting.
Yep.
To what we do here. 'Cause I mean, I know Lenny's got those three, you wanna add on to that. To demolish the trust fund, so those will have to be warrant article, right?
Yeah,
Those won't have a tax impact, there'll be money coming back into the general fund. You won't wanna calculate it in here, I don't think. You want to put that as next year's unreserved. Right, the money just rolls back into the general fund.
The money rolls back into the general fund.
Yeah, so you don't wanna,
No, it's gotta be on the warrant. Your written warrant's gotta be on there.
so
As far as the
budget
state.
requests will still be
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah, it won't be on my budget sheet because it's not a money
Right,
article,
correct,
but it's gonna be on your regular
Correct.
warrants. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually,
Making
when
sure
I
we're
was,
all-
when I was cruising through all the old town reports, looking for some stuff on retirement, I found a number of the good examples of terminating this particular fund
Hmm.
for whatever reason, so there's some good stuff already out there.
I'm
Copy
getting
paste.
quite a bit of it from Municipal Management Association in New Hampshire, you know, some people are saying, you ever done a warrant article to hire someone? I'm like, oh, what's that?
Okay.
Steal it.
All right.
So shared the cemetery fund, and what was the other one, Lenny?
Contracting. Professional
Can I
services.
spell your name wrong?
Professional.
yeah, professional services.
What's your name? Oh.
That's all I can
in
think
there.
of is,
Yeah, that's it. That's all I.
Or something.
and I think we got the bases covered.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, we obviously could pull a warrant article with one passes and the other passes. And we get enough funds for the Green Mountain to do everything we want to do. We can pull the second one. Just terminate it if it passes. If it doesn't pass, then we've got the second one to go to. If people don't feel comfortable spending a lot of money, go that far. So it gives us the option to do that. so. Now, are you gonna be able to have this in a written format for them to preliminary approve
On
1-4 Tuesday? That way, you can send me the preliminary format and then I'll have it, copies made for the budget committee to take a look at. So we can review everything ahead of time. And then 111 is my plan to sit down with them, because we got a stacked budget meeting 1-4. We got a lot of stuff. So I expect that could go a little bit longer.
I'll bring this leave the bag.
So 111 is my plan to total up all amounts from the unreserved fund balance. We close the books on 110. What'd you tell me? I forget what it was.
Darlene feels adamant, it's not a rule there, but we've always, from my understanding, done it the second week
Pay week,
around
yeah.
the 15th, so if we were to do it the 15th, we would have. I'd actually, if there's not a RSA, I would say the 20th, that gives us 2 weeks to collect all of
Back
that stuff.
the old December stuff.
Yeah.
So if we're shooting for the 20th, then it'll be just a preliminary on the 11th if we need to, because we got the 24th scheduled. I'll only use that if I have to. And then I think the next date is 2/2. I think that's the one we talked about. All petition warrant articles gonna be in. It's 2/2 a Tuesday, Roger?
No, first,
2/1, 2/1.
yes, I know I have to order a new calendar.
So 2/1 is when petition warrant articles are due. So in that meeting, we should be able to get everything ready for the 2/8 public hearing. So 2/8 is the budget public hearing. Then, once we get done as far as voting on all the warrant articles, it's the last date you can have a hearing. So we can't add. It's gonna be what it is. It's gonna be what it is. So 2-2, we want to finalize anything we
So
have.
that's a Tuesday night,
2-1, yep, 2-1. So
2-8. 2-1 and 2-8.
Yeah. So 2-1 is when we have to say, okay, all petitions done, we got this finalized. Then I'll make copies with you guys before that public hearing. I'll make copies of everything else before that, but just the draft warrant articles. I'll make a separate copy of that to hand out in addition to the budget sheets, because the budget sheets I should have to you guys after the 111 meeting. Enough time so we can print the 35 copies, however you want to do that. That's up to you. Then we could just add in if we need to during a public hearing, if there's something that, the 2-1, we can add it in and do what we need to do from there. So I think we're good. I don't plan on using the 24th if we don't need to do it, but the 11th we'll do all the unfunded balance that we know of at hand. I'll get the exact numbers from Deanna, what we have for numbers, see if we're comfortable taking that much out of the unreserved fund balance. Make sure we're all good with it. We know what we got. We're gonna leave a hefty sum in there. Do we want, okay, now, do all of Green Mountain, partial Green Mountain? What do we recommend? So if we can all agree to it, it would be awesome.
Take our 200 that we just got from the school, put that over and bring that in.
But we haven't got it, because that says for the,
Next year, I got it.
and I still hesitant on that number because I'm in contact with the school and they don't even have the budget finalized. So how the hell she come up with that number?
I'm just glad we got it in print.
I'm good.
What do you
With
mean
what?
they don't have the budget
Their
finalized?
budget is not finalized,
This current year, going from 21
Going-
to 22,
going for the next year.
that's not for that number, that's. the
Oh, this is
21,
for what we owe
22.
them into June?
Correct,
So she's redone the numbers and said, because of,
they don't say why,
they don't say why they're not gonna charge us as much.
I didn't see a reason in it.
Well, I mean,
They just said there was a
Well,
reduction of
that,
200 grand.
it's probably the confirmation of why you had originally thought that the rate would go up, say, $3, and it only went up $1.50. Right, remember you
Yeah.
were thinking it was gonna be higher,
The justification for that was based on far as what they estimated for far as how many students you have per child and what they were getting back for far as federal and state grants.
right,
But they
so,
ended up with money back, so they didn't need to increase as much as they had. And plus, we also found more children. Now, maybe they didn't factor in those children when they did that amount till the end, because this is a new financial director.
Okay.
Kathy O'Blind is new, she started last year. So maybe when she first hit us with the $3, I went back to her and I says, we reduced our student amounts by X amount, 4 or whatever, 3, whatever it was, which should have been this amount. And she goes, well, I use conservative numbers. But then I saw the 150 come out, and when I went back to the superintendent, she gave me those reasons. She didn't say it was the ADM,
Yeah.
children rate. So maybe Kathy O'Blind did, I can only surmise, but that'll still won't go into our budget until the 2022 budget. Right? Which is good.
Yep.
But what are they gonna hit us? They're gonna think that too, like they do with the dollar, right? They drop us 50 cents and hit us 250 the next year. So what are they gonna hit us for the next increase?
Take 4.
Yeah, exactly. We want the 200 back plus 6. So I don't know. I guess I'm sort of confused on that one. I've never seen that one before. Well, we'll take it if you're gonna give it.
Yes.
Well, on the letter, it says they refigured it because of the state revenues.
Yeah.
So they must have got more from the state than they anticipated.
Well, I know there were some federal grants out there that came back in for COVID and stuff that actually got approved in that big package.
Oh, yeah.
Now, maybe they know, which I can't figure out how much we're gonna get or any of that. Maybe they have some way of Department of Education is letting them know what they're gonna get, and they've already allocated it to the schools.
Yeah, I think that in the paper a while back, they had how much money the school district was getting from
We did pre-COVID too, but we didn't see any of that too. You know, I mean, which you expected it to drop and it didn't, it went up in their estimations.
But it had listed out how they expected to spend it,
Oh,
same as the county.
yeah,
They listed out how they expected to spend.
yeah, and not reducing the tax rate, it was how they were gonna,
Yeah,
high additional.
yeah, 3 more teachers.
It was additional, and that's understood.
All right, any other business to come before us today?
I think we're good with, everybody good with those schedules?
Yeah.
So we're definitely doing 2-1, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then 1-4 and 1-11 for the budget committee, the 24th is iffy. Of January.
Yep.
Not July.
2021.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Good.
All right, you guys,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that, all in favor, full eye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you guys.